We're live.
Cool.
Hey.
That's pretty cool.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, everyone? It's Ed from Barstarzz, and today we'll be doing the Calisthenics Roundtable. We're actually recording one session, and the second part of the video is us now answering your questions live.
Awesome.
And I'm here with Kavadlo and Dr.Jesse.
How you doing?
I'll be reading your comments off the iPad, and we probably won't get to all your comments, but we'll try to adjust the...
We'll try our hardest. Whatever we don't get to today, we'll get to eventually.
I think we should start by introducing Kavadlo and Jesse.
Hey. I'm Kavadlo. I'm the author of such books as Street Workout, Pushing the Limits, Raising the Bar, Stretching Your Boundaries, and Zen Mind, Strong Body. You might also recognize me from my YouTube channel or my appearance in the popular Convict Conditioning book series. I also write for Bodybuilding.com, T-Nation, and Train Magazine.
Jesse.
Well, that's quite a thing to follow. My name is Jess Dpt. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, graduated from Stony Brook University. We're here in the clinic that I work for, Integrated Spine and Sports in Midtown Manhattan. Here to answer any questions you have about physical therapy, about rehabilitation, about stretching, mobility, strength, anything you want. I'll try my hardest, and if I don't know the answer, I will not pretend to know it. So I will look it up and we'll come back to you later.
Thank you guys for all tuning in from Italy, Brazil. I see you guys commenting. And the first thing, I can't do pull-ups. So
Is that a question or just a statement?
it's a statement, but I guess it's the one topic we have right now. So what would you suggest for someone's first step to doing pull-ups?
Just hang from the bar. Get comfortable hanging. Take it from there.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to add some assisted pulls, just as like a band or anything like that, if you're not against doing supplemental things, then have a band assist you come up and come on down, and really hanging up and slowly eccentrically coming down. Eccentric contractions are a great way of building strength. So that's a really great way to start.
I tell everyone back rows, also known as Australian pull-ups, where you're at an angle, back straight with a lower bar. You pull up to your chest and back, and negative chin-ups. And also one that's not so popular, but I mention a lot, is partial range of motion chin-ups. So kind of like you're hanging, and just kind of go as high as you can and back down. As high as you can and back down. Only works if you mix it in with the other two exercises.
And it also helps if you love pull-ups as well.
Yeah.
If you love pull-ups, you'll try really hard to do it.
Can you get a hernia from pull-ups?
Probably, but it seems unlikely. I think we were talking about this before. I mean, you can get hurt doing anything. It's a freak accident. You know, you could slip crossing the street and fall and break your neck, but that doesn't necessarily mean crossing the street's dangerous.
Yeah. One of my mentors often tell me, Jesse, if you can't breathe during an exercise, you don't own it. So if you're pulling a hernia while doing something, likely you're holding your breath, you're bearing down so hard to do that pull-up that something snaps, and so you catch a hernia. So if you can't breathe while doing the exercise, then just leave the ego at the door, regress, do something you can breathe comfortably doing it, and then you can work back up to your pull-ups.
Is it physically possible to get a hernia from pull-ups?
If you're really bearing down and pushing really hard, it's possible.
Physically
is it
possible?
likely?
It's so
Probably
unlikely.
not.
I mean,
It's
I've
not
personally
likely.
trained thousands of people on the pull-up, and none of them got a hernia doing it.
No.
Yeah,
no.
same thing. I've never seen
Zero.
it. Never
my
seen
experience.
it. Yeah, exactly. What are the best exercises to reduce body and belly fat?
Exercise and restraint. Put down that donut.
I think diet is the most important, and I think if you looked at the studies that have been done, it showed that diet vastly beats exercise. So of course incorporate both. But,
Yeah, and you also can't target select where
No
you
spot
want the
reduction,
fat.
right?
Yeah. So if a lot of people say I want to get rid of the fat here, so should I do more tricep stuff? No, you just need it's a global systemic weight loss. You can't target where you want your weight loss to come from. Your body doesn't care. It's just gonna take it away or put it on. It's where your genetics, where you're gonna put it, and when it's gonna get removed.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a sad answer, but the truth. No one's gonna sell you like a secret belt that you can put around your waist or a secret tee. It's diet and exercise and time.
But it's because we love you guys that we're giving you the truth. We're not sugarcoating it. You know?
Exactly.
Exactly. You sugarcoat things. That's how you got the belly fat in the beginning.
how to fix scapular winging. And before we go into it, could you also describe what scapular winging is? Because he's very knowledgeable, I'm sure.
Yeah. So scapular winging, I see quite often here in the clinic. Scapular winging, what happens is when you when you load the scapula, or sometimes when you're just standing, your scapula and your ribs should be flushed on top of each other. And so when you move, they should be moving right there. Winging is when the scapula comes off of the ribs, and so it looks like you have these two poking like protrusions in your spine. So that could be caused for a lot of different reasons, but mostly it's your serratus anterior that really kind of flushes the scapula and gives it more stability. So in order to fix it, well, it's I don't want to give like a general term because I don't really know the general cause for this particular individual. I never want to kind of cookie cutter approach for things. Everything's personalized. But a really great way to try it is any like scapular protrusion exercise, such as like a push-up plus, when you're just standing up top, squeezing and pushing, or just anything where you're just bringing your shoulder forward and back, forward and back. That really
hanging on a bar and going from a
exactly
to a pack.
Exactly.
Right?
It's really just setting the scapula where it should be. There's a lot of reasons why the person's scapula is winging. And I used to have winging scapulas when I was a child, but as I started getting exercise and I started getting a little stronger, the winging actually decreased. I don't wing anymore when I do my exercise.
Well, I think there's two main things that you hit upon subtly there. One is you build strength, and I think a lot of the reason why people have that is there's just not enough strength in the muscles supporting the scapula. And the other thing is body awareness. By practicing those exercises, you learn to feel where they were in space and put them in the place that they need to be.
Definitely.
And that's just such a big part, is just rehearsing these movement patterns.
Yeah, it's as we spoke before, it's all about impacting the brain. So once we reinforce a proper movement pattern in the brain, then you'll be able to, your whole body, it's all brain. It's all nervous system, all sums down to that. So if you really impact the nervous system by doing the appropriate exercise, such as setting your scapula back before doing a pull-up or doing these push-ups and making sure your scapula aren't wrong when you do a push-up, then you'll get better. You'll get better. Yeah.
Is scapular winging potentially dangerous?
It shows that there is instability there. Having the inherent winging may not be dangerous, but it shows
it's a symptom of a bigger issue potentially.
Yeah, there's a sign of some scapular instability. So if you target the instability, you'll prevent yourself from getting hurt.
We've got like a billion questions.
Well, how about that?
Awesome.
I was actually worried beforehand that you guys wouldn't see this because we didn't really announce it, and then, we wouldn't get enough questions. But we actually have too many questions.
Let's try to get through them quick now.
It's a great idea, thank you. I have pain in between my pecs, middle of my chest during dips. Occasionally it pops, cracks when I stretch. Is there a reason for this? I've actually been reading lately that dips is an exercise for everyone biologically. That's the way your sternum is structured. Some people have difficulty with doing dips.
I remember when I was a kid, when I first tried doing a dip, I remember this is one of like my most vivid memories of like my early strength training. I think it was my freshman year of high school, like seeing like the juniors and seniors like on the parallel bars dipping and going up and trying one, and just as soon as I started bending my elbows, just feeling like somebody just punched me right in the sternum, just like falling off the bars and being so embarrassed. But I kept trying it eventually, and with practice I was eventually learned to get over it. So it could just be, the shock of all that pressure suddenly on your chest and on your arms, and you're not ready to handle it, and with practice it could get better, but it could also be an issue with that individual's skeletal alignment, that exercise might just not be for them.
Yeah, there's like a video, it has a bunch of views, and if you look at it, he makes this argument, and that's actually the first I've heard of it. But me too, I've had a sternum pain, never from body weight, but when I first started doing weighted, I would be sore the next day, and I always thought like, oh, maybe it's the middle of my muscle. But it was actually the sternum that hurt.
A lot of people don't realize that strength training impacts your bones too. We're so hung up on our muscles, we want our arms to look bigger, that we forget that we're making our whole body stronger, our connective tissue, our bones. So if the bones are a weak link, you might feel it there, and as your bones get denser and stronger, then hopefully you'll be able to handle that exercise without discomfort.
I'm also worried about that cracking that he experiences, this snapping and cracking. I would say just regress, do something a little bit easier.
Do some bench
Put
dips
your feet on the ground
and
do a dip there, see if it improves, and then just kind of work on the lower progressions. and if it still bothers you, just go and check.
Have you
Go to a
ever
doctor or
heard that
something.
some people genetically can't do dips, or is that no?
Well, I mean, in the population I work with, most people cannot do dips.
But not because of
That's because they had some kind of trauma, not
Either kind of trauma or
I mean,
lots
just
of
like
different
let's say
reasons.
a normal healthy human being and the most average person of average, Adam average. Should he be able to do dips if he trains 3 times a week?
Of course, I mean, we're all human beings. Human beings are built to move. If you look at our anatomy, the range of motions our shoulder has, we need to be able to do all 180 degrees of flexion and abduction and all these things. So an average person should be able to do dips no matter how old they are. A 1-year-old probably shouldn't be doing dips.
Those
and
youngest
that's
start doing it.
yeah, good point. But you should be able to do dips. And if you can't do it, then regress, work towards it, and see if it gets any improvement.
Sounds good.
How can I prevent trigger points with only stretching work? Not very clear there.
I don't understand the question.
So trigger points are very tender spots on muscle, often caused by hyperactivity within that muscle. Very difficult to prevent them, but when you do encounter some trigger points, and it's really easy to find a trigger point, you kind of run along a muscle, and I find a lot of them in the back. There's like a point that's very, very tender, almost as if like there's a guitar string on that muscle. And so you go on it, and it's like, oh, wow, that's really painful. And it's hard to find in the pec. There's a lot in the back, in the lower back, definitely a lot of trigger points there. Hamstrings, calves, in the middle of the calf, there's a massive amount of connective tissue that can cause the next trigger point. It's the best way to kind of get rid of it, using a lacrosse ball, a tennis ball, even like a foam roller over those spots of tenderness, easing your way into it, getting your nervous system calm when applying pressure on those trigger points, and then eventually either that same session or several sessions afterwards, the trigger point should get better, and you'll actually notice more mobility within that muscle as well.
Something I didn't know.
Yeah, we'll make a video of it.
Is exercise more important than your diet? I think they work hand in hand. You can't say one's more important, and they don't take up each other's time.
Are your
so you should
lungs
do
more
both.
important than your heart, or is your heart more important than your lungs?
And I'm gonna say this a lot. It depends. It depends on where your goal is. If your goal is to, get stronger, to build muscle, you're not gonna do any of that by diet.
I actually think it plays a part. Like if you're trying.
Of course, it plays a part.
But if
It
you're not
plays a part, but
exercising
not
at all,
exclusive.
no matter how you
Oh.
eat, you're not going to
Yeah,
get stronger.
yeah. And as a physical therapist, I'm a little biased to say that exercise is the most important thing you can do. If you're being sedentary, then that's the absolute worst thing for every single part of your body. Like you will develop sores in your skin. Your conditioning will worsen. Your lungs will get poor. You'll actually urinate
sounds
less.
horrible.
Yeah, you'll urinate less because there's less activity. You'll develop swelling in your feet, and it's just awful just to sit around and do nothing. Exercise is a key for longevity.
I'm very much pro exercise, but just as a hypothetical, if you had person A who eats very clean, doesn't overeat, only has whole foods, no processed garbage, doesn't exercise,
Yeah.
and then you have person B who just eats Cheetos and McDonald's all day,
That's a great
but
question.
works out. Long term, who's gonna be healthier?
I think the diet guy.
I think they'll each break down their individual.
They'll break
lives.
down in different ways, right?
Yeah. The person who's a clean eater, not exercise, can develop osteoporosis later on down the line. A great way to prevent osteoporosis and osteopenia, which is a lesser term of osteoporosis, is weight training. And there's a mechanics called Wolff's Law, which says if you apply pressure on bone, the micro fractures in the bone will occur, and the bone will heal stronger. So if you're not doing that, especially for the elderly population, you will lose muscle, you will lose bone density. Then if you fall, you'll crack a rib or crack a hip, and then a broken hip at the age of 70, 80 drops your
Could be
your
fatal
mortality
if you're
rate.
that old.
Oh yes. So
Well, the good
exercise.
thing is you don't have to choose, right? We can do both.
Exactly.
So
Just
I
do
think
both.
we should.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't take up the same time slot. You still have to eat,
Right.
and you still could work out.
Yeah.
I think if you want to phrase
not
it,
one or the other.
a better question would be like which exercise or which diet, and that's a whole topic in itself.
I'm not even gonna touch.
But
that.
you can definitely. Everyone eats. You eat a meal whenever you. So you have to do it anyway. Next one. Hi, for advanced skills with. Okay, nope. I read part 2 of the question. Wow, that was not the question. What advanced skill should I start learning first? I've been doing basics for 3 years. That's a great foundation.
That's fantastic.
Which skill to do first?
Which one interests you most?
That's yeah.
Do you want to learn a muscle up? Is a pistol squat more exciting for you?
I love pistol squats.
Only you can answer that question, right?
Pistol squats are my personal favorite because you can do them anywhere.
This
You
is
can-
true.
you
No
can
ball required.
Exactly. Just say, hey, look, check out what I can do. Boom, boom. Like, whoa, that's so cool. I find that, and a lot of people really neglect their legs, and especially
It's one of the
calisthenic legs.
stereotypes about calisthenics.
Exactly. So
I actually did a
pistol
video
squats
the other
really
day
good.
where I was like doing some pretty good jumps. So.
Yeah.
But I think you have to separate the advanced skills and go for like I know in gymnastics they do it by letters. I think A might be the easiest. So I think I would put in that category personally maybe the back lever, the pistol squat, muscle up, and then higher levels than that would be something like a festo.
Like an iron cross. and
Yeah,
stuff like that,
yeah, exactly.
lever.
So I would pick something from that right into advanced stage, and like Al said, the one that interests you the most.
Yeah, check out these guys' videos. They have really awesome tutorials. So, yeah.
What's your YouTube channel, Al?
It's my name, Al Kavadlo. Alkavadlo.
Nice. You practiced that one.
I've spelled my name before. It's true.
And Jesse,
I do not have a YouTube channel, and my Instagram page does not have any posts. I'm still very new at all this Instagram, social media stuff. But if you want to get to me, feel free to comment on my Instagram as Dr.Jesse DPT, or you just head up to Eddie and then you can ask a question to Eddie and he'll send it to me.
Oh, that's a great question. I'm trying. We did pull up, so if you just watch it when this video gets posted, you can see the answer. Should I do calisthenics before or after a basketball workout?
Depends what your priority is. If your basketball training is more important to you, do that first. If your calisthenics training is more important, do that first. Because whatever you do second, you're going to have less energy for.
Yeah.
Why not mix them at the same time? Why can't your basketball workouts be calisthenics? You have to do lots of,
I think he means
high power, leg sport. That's calisthenics. And
Yeah,
basketball.
I think he
can be
means
the
it
same
more like towards what the channel, like the pull-ups and the muscle-ups, and yeah.
thing. Yeah. Well, as Al said, you should probably set your priorities a little bit. I don't recommend you doing an hour of calisthenics and then working on your basketball skills.
Right.
It might be a little bit difficult.
In Cabrini Park, we actually share the park is half basketball court, or more than half, and then some playground,
Mhm.
and a lot of the bar star
Tiny
guys.
little section of bars and
Yeah.
everything else is basketball court.
Exactly.
Priorities in that park, apparently.
So the bar star guys play both, but I think generally they'll warm up with the basketball, not even a full game, and then work out and then finish with the ball. But I think because a lot of bar star guys like working out, probably more than basketball. 3 most important exercises to do every day.
I don't think you necessarily need to do anything every day, but if I were to pick 3 exercises as the most important, squat, push-up, pull-up.
Hits them all.
I'd say walk.
Walking, yeah, you should do that every day. I take
And-
that
and-
back. You should walk every day.
It's almost overrated because I think in New York we live here, so it's
Yeah.
common. But I lived in Miami for would pull up really to exactly the very beginning of the door, and if you couldn't park in front of where you were going, it was a problem. So I think in New York, if you live here or if you live in somewhere where walking is really popular, then yeah. But if you don't, you should incorporate walking, park further, and then squatting because it's something you do in everyday life, and the push up and the pull up. Especially because those exercises are so easily acceptable. You can do them in your house. Should you train in the morning or the late evening?
Train.
As long as you get it
As long
done,
as you get it in.
I don't think the time of day matters that
Yeah.
much. I personally like to work out in the morning just because I like to get it over with, and then I don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to have time for it later? Because that's the thing, you save it for the end of the day, and something comes up unexpectedly, and then you don't do the workout.
Yeah. And I'm much more active in the morning. I'm much more mentally and physically focused in the morning, so I just do it in the morning and then just head to work right afterwards. But some people are night owls and they like exercising at night.
Yeah.
So if that works out for you, by all means, go for it. But
as long as you get it done, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a very personal question and depends on your work hours, what time you feel like the most energetic. Fortunately, I can pick when I work out, and I prefer the morning. I feel like if I get that right balance, I have a big boost of energy. But also, if I have a really extreme workout in the morning, I feel kind of like tired. So I have to find
Depends
that
how
balance.
much else you got going on in your day, right?
Exactly. So yeah, if I have a very busy day, I have a smaller workout and less strenuous. And if I have a very free day, I go hard.
Yeah, and they also say that your testosterone level is higher early in the day. So if you want to take advantage of that, by all means, go for it. But is it completely necessary? I don't think so. No.
Comment section got to usual YouTube. The shoulders and lower back need separate strengthening sessions as they are most vulnerable.
I'm not a big proponent of isolation training. Generally, I'm all about trying to maximize using as many muscles as you can together. That's why I love exercises like the pistol squat, the muscle up, the L-sit. These are full body moves that you're going to hit your lower back. You're going to hit all of your areas. If you feel like you need to give a little extra attention to certain body parts, there's nothing wrong with that. But a well-rounded routine, focusing on the movements, you're going to hit all your muscles.
Right. Go for it.
For me, I have a warm-up protocol. So I'll come in, I'll do some light cardio where my body builds up the sweat. And then I would specially address somewhere I have a problem, which right now would be my shoulder. So after I have built up the light sweat, I go through the rehab exercises. And I do that every workout, even if I'm just training legs.
Yeah, and your body doesn't work in isolation. It doesn't, when you're about to move, it doesn't think, okay, bicep first, then deltoid, then boom. And it doesn't work like that. You all work as a system. The muscles all work together, and the brain sends the systems out through all. So it's best to kind of train everything globally. That's why I'm really big on animal crawls. So you're really lots of shoulder stabilization along with abdominal stabilization, along with hip mobility. It hits it all in one go. So it kind of gets you very fluid and gets you moving more. So that's how I target it all at once. And it's also time efficient too.
Yeah. Which workout is good to start calisthenics? My piece of advice is buy a home pull-up bar. And then with that, combine it with push-ups, pull-ups, and squats, kind of like how we actually had
goes
said
back
earlier.
to what we were talking about before, the basics.
Yeah, definitely.
Build that foundation.
Yeah. Don't just do push-ups because your shoulder's not gonna have happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really need to balance out the pushes and pulls, especially in the arms.
1 pull-up for every 3 push-ups, something like that, right?
All right, that's a pretty good one. I like it.
Yeah. Focus on those basic exercises. Those are 3, but you can incorporate the plank, calf raises, and build that solid foundation and then work your way up.
Yeah, there's really no wrong way to do it. Just start, and you'll learn so much through the process as you go along.
Are freestanding handstand push-ups more beneficial than if you do them against the wall? I think so.
Well, they have different benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're getting a lot more hand and grip and finger activation when you're freestanding because that's what's keeping you from tipping over.
Sure.
Whereas on the wall, you can just kind of lay your weight on the wall. The other thing that a lot of people don't realize when they do handstand push-ups against the wall is how much the wall actually takes some of the weight off of their hands because they're leaning their legs against it. When you're freestanding, all your weight's on your hands. But as a counter to that, most people are going to be able to do more reps against the wall because eventually you're going to lose your balance. Freestanding, I can do 5, maybe 6 reps against the wall. I can get 10, 12, 15 maybe on a good day because after a certain point, when that grip fatigues, you're gonna topple over.
Yeah, I think freestanding definitely works the stabilizers and again the grip and you brought up a good point. You could actually get more reps and work your shoulders more if you kick up against the wall. So maybe a good combination of both.
Yeah.
Where you start off with the more difficult movement and regress.
Yeah, practice the freestanding ones if you can. Do them while you're fresh, and when you start to fatigue, then do a few more against the wall at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't add any more to that. That was great.
And anyone who's doing freestanding handstand push-ups is in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
if you're being able to do 1 rep of that, kudos to you.
Are they reading from the chat? Yes, we are. Are you choosing questions, or is there a requirement to get your questions answered? I'm trying to get them because it's kind of like flooding. So
Yeah, just
That
throw them
was
in
a
there.
self-fulfilling one, right? It's the requirement. Well, the requirement was met by that one apparently.
how to get strong? Weighted calisthenics or harder variations? You
That's what
won't
we were
answer
just
me.
talking about,
will you?
right?
Yeah, we actually did that on the first part
We
of this video.
recorded the answer to that question already.
Tune in.
Yes.
Training abs in the pull-up bar or on the floor. At least answer me on this.
You can do both. You can. I mean, what I like about doing the bar is a lot of the moves are harder. If you take a move like a leg raise when you're laying on the ground, you have your whole back in contact with the floor, which is a big contact point. You take that move and you bring it up to a bar. Now you only have your hands, and you have to contend with your body potentially swaying back and forth, which is a lot more stabilization and recruitment of the abdominals. So the bar is probably a little harder, but if you can't do it on the bar without swinging around, then do them on the floor.
Yeah. Also depends on which exercise. Cause I'm not really big on crunches and curling. Not too great with on your low back. We're always in the flex position anyway, and this really puts a lot of stress on those discs between your vertebrae. So constantly doing this over and over again on the floor may not be the greatest, but if your goal is to just target that rectus, the six-pack abs, then that's one way to do it. I'm more of the abdominal stabilization. So if you're gonna go on the floor, a plank, a side plank, anything like that would be really great. That really helps protect your back from future injury, and also you need a lot of abdominal strength for the really advanced motions, especially in the stabilization. So if you want to have good stabilization for your abdominals, when you want to do like a front lever, back lever, or anything like that, I think like having a plank, side plank, or what I would suggest on a pull-up bar would be great. Yeah, I'm not a big component on crunches and sit-ups.
When I was younger, I did a lot of crunches, sit-ups, weighted sit-ups, and I never felt the pain in my back. But through learning and getting older, I've learned about the pressure on the spine, which you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So I moved the majority of my exercises. I definitely start on the bar, and if I feel like I have some left, I'll go to crunches. But I definitely leave the majority of my ab workout to bar-related exercises. There is a sound that is disturbing.
That's AC.
Are we able to cut it?
I'll see what I can do.
One sec, guys. Bear with us. Actually, 15-second break. It's still on, though. I have to check my battery. Give you guys the... Oh, there's no way to check my battery while I'm doing this.
Well, if it's not dead, then it's still going, right?
Alright, guys, so we're going to do this very improv. So when the phone dies, the live stream's over. Oh, no, but I have to post it. I guess we'll go for another 10 minutes and end it. And you guys leave the comments, the feedback. We'll get back to it when we get the chance. And create the next series or episodes based on your feedback of what you want asked, where do you want it, all that. Just direct the show. It's something we're putting all together.
Yeah.
Alright. Ed and Al, what skills are you working on right now?
We were talking about this before we went on the air. The hollow back handstand has been my most recent obsession. So spending a lot of time on the thoracic mobility to get deeper into that.
Me personally, I've just been working on getting myself better. I've been going through different therapies for it. I've been doing rehab, Woosha, working with Jesse and someone else that I'll be bringing onto the YouTube channel. Besides that, really just general conditioning, not a particular skill. I've been doing reps, push-ups, not so much on the pull-ups, not so much on the dips, and different other exercises, but no skill at this point. What exercise of bodybuilding can I do to help me for calisthenic exercises?
I think bodybuilders do chin-ups and pull-ups and dips, don't they?
Oh, so.
Some of them do.
Yeah. I used to go to this bodybuilding gym, real hardcore, and the pull-up form was so bad, and I think like people like I used to get really bad stares from like the really big guys, because I'll be there doing muscle ups, but they always felt like I was showing off, but really I was just
training.
Exactly, and it's like I felt bad about it, but
I gotta go on a little rant for a second,
Oh,
because
go
I think
for it.
it's so funny when bodybuilders talk trash about calisthenics. Guys like, oh, those guys are just showing off. They're just trying to show off. It's like, what the hell do you need 20-inch biceps for, other than to show off? It's just a different way of showing off. We're showing off performance. You're just showing off aesthetics. That's the whole thing of bodybuilding. It's all based on showing off.
Yeah.
So why they gotta hate on us for wanting to show off in our own way?
Yeah, yeah. And the calisthenics crowd, it looks like showing off because we can't really add weights to us. So once
you can't do a
like
muscle up at home, your ceiling's probably not high. You gotta go out to the park. You gotta do it in public.
Yeah.
And pull-ups help with the muscle up, but nothing helps more than doing the muscle up. So it's like, how am I going to train to get more muscle ups?
Right.
If I had to feel like I'm showing off every time I'm doing a muscle up,
Yeah.
or a planche or a handstand, it's like, you want to get good at it, do it. And I've seen it change. In the park, people used to be very modest muscle ups. Now I walk in at any given time, kids to like people maybe into their 40s are just knocking out muscle ups. So
Muscle
I'm
ups have
glad.
gone mainstream, and it's thanks in part to you.
Thank you.
And you too, Al. You too.
We've all done our role here. But yeah, so there was a time when I used to have to explain to people what a muscle up was, and now pretty much everyone knows what a muscle up is.
Yeah.
Do calisthenics help in fixing strength and muscle imbalances? Are there any conditions to it? It's a very long, complicated question.
Well, if you have a well-balanced routine, then yes. We were talking about before, if you're only doing push-ups and not doing pull-ups, you're going to potentially set yourself up for an imbalance. But if you're working, your legs and your front and your back and your core and everything in a nice balance, then it's gonna make you in great shape.
And being very conscious of your form, maybe recording it or having a friend look at it.
Yeah.
Because I know for a while, I always thought I was straight on a push-up.
Right.
And it always took a friend to go, okay, you look like your feet lean this way. And in my head, you just think like, oh no, I was always straight, but
You have
it
one
definitely
arm
helps.
here and one arm out there, right?
Exactly.
All this, yeah.
So videotaping your form, now when I don't have a friend or a camera, I use the lines in the mats
Oh, that's
to
good.
try to line my hands
Sure.
and my body. And
Yeah, our perceptions of what we think we're doing and an outside observer's actual observation are often really different. I know I've had the experience, you probably have too, where you do a move and you video it and you look back on the video and you're like, oh, I rocked that move, and you're like, oh, that's what it looked like? I'm like, all right, I got to throw that out and do that a couple more times.
Yeah. And if you already have an imbalance, you just continue working on the motions that are very difficult for you. So if you feel, and as we all start off with push-ups, and we did 1 million push-ups a day when we were teenagers. And so some of us are suffering some of those imbalances. So you just correct it by just going the opposite direction. You did tons of push-ups when we were younger. All right, so do some rows and do more rows now than push-ups. Correct that imbalance.
all right, the last question before we sign off on you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And see who's the lucky last question.
It's been a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, what is that? I wish I could tell what my battery looked like. I don't want it to cut off while you guys are there.
Come on, Ed, pick a good one.
No pressure.
I feel I always, the funny ones always attract my vision. So the question that usually gets
the funny
answered,
ones too.
the one that usually gets answered is the one right under that one. So example, here goes the funny one, and then the next one is, I feel pain when doing dips and the shoulder exercise. Can you guys please help me? What is wrong?
That's really difficult to diagnose without seeing the dip, and also where the pain is. Is it pain in the wrist, elbow, shoulder, chest? Oh, shoulder. Sorry. So if it's the front of the shoulder, you need to really have that extension, the shoulder extension. And if you don't have the muscle stability, the rotator cuff, that shoulder really shunts forward when you're coming down on that dip. And that really puts a lot of pressure on that bicep tendon as well as the ligaments in the front of the shoulder. So that's a really common pain, and I've had it when I was started working out too.
I think sometimes beginners try to stay too upright when they
Sure,
dip.
yeah.
You've got to lean forward a little bit in order to get down there. But like you said, when you lean forward, you don't want to roll your shoulder. You still want to keep it in the socket, keep your chest tall. But you've got to get that lean to get low.
Exactly. So get a video of yourself, get a side view, front view, do the dips, then check it out and compare. Is your shoulder really rolling forward? And if it is, that might be what the issue is. And to solve it is just as easy as getting a regression. Either have a band to take some of the weight off, or you would do a dip with your feet on the floor or on the stool, something like that. Set your environment up for success so your shoulders are really nice and aligned. and then your shoulders should get better with that.
Another thing is a lot of people do during pressing movements is they'll let the elbow flare out.
Good point. Yeah.
The elbow should be in. Now this also is confused when you say this because it shouldn't be like here, but it should be pointing back. Your elbow shouldn't be flaring out.
Right. Then if people dip, they go like this.
Right. Yeah. And that's really bad for one of the tendons in a rotator cuff, the supraspinatus. It really hits on the acromion just right above it. So just coming. And you shouldn't do push-ups like that either.
No
It's
pressing
a really
exercise.
good way of like hurting your shoulder. So really watch out for that angle too. When you're doing dips like this or like this, try to find a happy medium.
Yeah, for a while there's like a myth that if the wider your elbows are, the more you activate your chest.
Yeah, sure,
But
that
you-
might be right, but you're also might potentially hurt your rotator cuff too. So
And
you really want to be careful.
And just because you get away with it one time or a month or 2 months doesn't mean eventually it's going to catch up to you. And that's how actually most injuries, in my opinion, start. It's not immediately when you do it. It's the accumulation of time.
Yeah, it's
doing
the
it.
straw that broke the camel's back. You can just keep adding straws, and eventually something will bother you.
All right. This is the end of the first Calisthenics Roundtable Live. Thank you, Al, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jesse.
No problem. Anytime.
Leave your feedback. We'll definitely get back to it. And thank you guys again for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks so
Peace.
much, guys.